welcome back to Tony Northeastern, and thank you very much for commenting on the last video. Do appreciate all comments. Some of them are very useful, and some of the tips and hints I get are much appreciated. Now we're going to concentrate on the diesel yard, or TMD, or whatever you like to call it. I've had an interesting comment about the stores being where it is. The comment was how the trucks and the delivery lorry is going to get across all these tracks when it's over there. The only solution is to move it from there to there, where it's nearest to the main road. It comes in. So that was an easy one. Thank you very much for that. But in its place, I'm going to put that little building in its place. That's going to be the machine shop. As you can see, I have blackened out the tracks. It's still a little bit damp from ballasting yesterday. Weathered tracks, track beds, but the rails still need painting. I thought I'd paint them last this time round, just so I can blacken them even darker than the ballast because of the oil stains and the made up. A little fence to go around the transformer. It's fenced in, and there's some signs on there as well. All it is just mesh. You can buy this. It took ages to come. You can buy it in strips. It's normally about 50mm wide. I've just cut it in half and added some extra posts, made up a little door, and added some signs to it, and that will sit there. I have also neatly painted this old Hornby triangle crane. It looks too squeaky clean at the minute, so that needs to be dirty down as well. And although I have cut out the bottom, I'm going to have to put a little card infill in there just to lift it up a little bit, because it's a little bit too deep at the moment. It needs to come up just a little bit, about half the depth. I had an accidental spill on the cobbles over there, and that is looking how I'd expect the cobbles to look. The paint that I used for in between the sleepers there is just black acrylic with a little bit of water and a little bit of PVA. So the water and the PVA mix is about 50-50, and then you just add the paint. And as you can see, it absorbs into the ballast. I've put it on a bit thicker there because just about there's going to be some diesel pumps. As you probably noticed, I have drawn around the buildings, so I know where to put the paint at its thickest and thinnest, and I've marked where the door positions are. Right, because of that little accident I had with the paint over there, I'm going to stick with this grey wash, this really black wash acrylic, and I'm just going to paint it in all over. Where I think it's going to be needed the most. Just letting it soak in into the I'm only using this as a baseline because I'm going to use weathering paints to put in the real grey. Probably noticed I'm leaving these edges here and here because I'm going to use a green wash for that area there. So it's a bit too black in places, but like I said, I'm just using this as a baseline. Keep changing your towels as often as possible to absorb the paint. It's going to be really black in there, I'd imagine. Okay, what I've done is I've just sprayed a bit of water onto the towel just to try and lighten it up in a few places. Just to see if it will take some of the dark off. Let's take a little bit off. Still a bit patchy in places, which is good really, because where it's patchy I can add some green weathering. Okay, I've just added the dark green wash around the edges where it left, there and here where the engine set sits. So when the engine set sits, you should see a little bit of green come through the sides over the walls. Okay, I'm just going to add some dark grey wash just for this area here only, for where the vehicles have been coming in and out. Hopefully that will give me the effect of one of the vehicles wearing these cobbles out. I think that's worked. It's made this area a little bit lighter. I'm happy with the way that's turned out. It's hard to see on camera, but it has lightened the area a little bit, taking some of the dark away. Right, now to add the really black stuff. Okay, what you're looking at is almost the final look of the cobblestones. I'm really pleased the way it's turned out. As you can see, I've left it a little bit light between them two tracks where the drivers will be walking up and down, so that would be pretty worn away. So what we'll do, we'll put a few buildings in place and see what it looks like. You see, I still need to put a little bit more green along that edge there. That's about what I want for there. The thing is, the camera's showing it up. It's quite light, and believe you me, it's quite dark, these couples. Stores. Machine shop. Crane. Slowly getting there. And around the water tower. And now the shed's in place. Right, so I'll just let that dry out. Moving on to something else. Right, I have just finished painting the rails on the tracks, which took me a couple of hours, and that's finished. The cobblestones are still wet in a few places, but it's dried out over there because that's where I've rubbed quite a bit of it off, but where I've left it, it's still a bit damp, so I need to leave that to dry out. So this is a different view of it all, looking across. Right, so the next thing to do is to start looking at these buildings one at a time to see if I can improve on it. The tool shed, definitely. Stonework, it's just the wrong, needs darkened down a bit. Door needs repainting along with the guttering. The office, I can leave that alone. That doesn't need too much, maybe a bit of weathering on the roof and maybe a sign between the door and the window, but I can leave that alone. We're back at the bench, and there's a few things I have done to this machine shop. I've changed the colour of the main door. As you can see, I've left the original colour up there, so this door is slightly darker, and I've painted the brass knob and changed all the guttering to black, and I've repainted the roof. So the roof just needs a bit of weather on it, and this building is then complete. So I just thought I'd quickly show you that. I'm sure you didn't want to see me paint it all. This little item here is the hose for the diesel tanks. I've made it out of a bit of soldering wire. I've cut a really tiny piece of plastic and super glued it on the end there and painted it red, so that's the on and off valve. I've painted the tip black, and I've also painted a little red circle on the actual tip there. I mean, if you remember when I built the diesel tanks, I drilled a hole in the end, and this little end will get glued into there, super glued into there, and I'm not even going to bother painting the solder wire because some of the hoses are braided and they're silver anyway. So there you go, hose made out of soldering wire. Okay, as you can see, if I just slide that in there, it should line up with the hole that I put in there ages ago. And there you go. Just looks like a hose. I'll take that out, put a tiny bit of super glue, and just put it in there. That's it. Leave that to go off. That's it. And there it is. Just a little tip showing the hose attached to the main valve on the tanks. Right, here we are, back at the bench again. A lot of to and froing going on in this video. The buildings here in front of us. Obviously, that one's finished. I've added a little bit of weather into the roof on the maintenance shed. The offices, or the office, I've just added a little sign and a couple of posters inside. I think I'd leave that as it is, maybe just a bit of weather on the top. So these two are ready for the LEDs. Prefab, there's not a lot to do on that one. Yeah, I don't have to touch that one, so that's another one that can have the LED put in. Right, so the water tower, all I've got to do to this really is just change the colour of the brown door to the same colour as that one there, and put an LED on the inside. Okay, I'm using matte 73 for the door, so I'm just giving it a quick wash over the top. An easy job. When that dries, just got to put the brass knobs back on. Right, here we are at the diesel yard. and the 4 buildings that were over at the bench are now in place, and that's where they're staying, and all the lights are fitted. I have had a change around. The maintenance shed that was there is now moved to here, but everything else is staying as it is. There is still a lot more to do. There's the yard lights to be fitted, there's lamps to be fitted inside the engine shed, and I'm even going to put a little LED inside that filling station there as well. So that's going to be an interesting one to do. So it's coming along. So I think that's all we've got time for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. See you next time. Bye.